pleasure to be with you on the program of Woddi Women Talkshow, Woddi meaning Women of Divine Destiny Initiative, and we are so glad to be with you on another edition of the program. And today is a special edition to celebrate a man who has stood for others, even without them knowing, a man who has sacrificed himself to humanity, a man who is a gift to this generation and beyond. We say a big happy birthday to His Excellency Senator Rochas Okorocha, and today we dedicate this special program for you because of who you are to us. Can the audience please put themselves together and put their hands together? Special edition. All right, so part of what we'll be discussing on this special edition, if you watched the previous one, we talked about peace and unity. We'll be looking at something that is very, very dear to the heart of His Excellency. And of course, we will not do this without appreciating the executive producer of the program, Woddi Women Talkshow. She is the founder of Woddi, and we are so honored to have her right here as a panel today, or a member of the panel, to discuss this topic today. She is Dr. Rochas Okorocha. Can we put our hands together for her? And specially handpicked are the guests to discuss this particular topic today. And yes, we've not talked about the topic, so I'm sure you're wondering what we're discussing. But we'll talk about the guests, they will tell you what the topic is. We have today with us Comrade Haruna Brightwell. Can we put our hands together and welcome? We also have another man in the house to discuss this particular topic, Pastor Alex Silva. Can we put our hands together? A mother to all is sitting right here with us as well, Bishop Hope John Praise. Thank you so much. And a woman with $1 million smile, for me to say, Dr. Hajia Aisha Sanusulemu. Thank you so much. I have a saying here. It was written in a book, and this book was written by Abdul Razak Oldulani, and he says, religion remains the only social institution in Nigeria which is not tied to tribal solidarity. And with that, we introduce the topic of discussion, which is religious tolerance from the women's perspective. When we talk about religion, comrade, what are we referring to?
Religion, simply put, is a way of life. I think where we have missed it in Nigerian context is the aspect of not being able to separate it from our faith. Humanity is supposed to be our first religion. If humanity has to be our way of life, our faith can be individualistic, respectively from traditional faith institution to Islamic faith institution and the Christian faith institution. So the ability to now culturally imbibe the context of this faithhood or faith platforms, doing it every day becomes a culture which now makes our faith religious. So first of all, we need to see religion as a way of life. How do we live from our home to the larger society? I think that is simply the definition.
Okay, let's get to hear from Pastor Silva. You were talking about religion. He says it's a way of life. So what are those things that we're supposed to do that makes it a way of life? Like what does religion or faith carry? What are those things that you do?
Well, what you do, it's a practice. Religion is simply your faith. There are many expressions of religion, but your faith is the most important thing. For a Christian, for example, it depends on your relationship with God. Your relationship with God becomes your religion. And what you do to express that religion is your daily routine with God, and especially with men. Because you can't see God, you can see men. Your religion affects the peace of another human. That's not true religion. That's not pure religion. Religion is that you are able to coexist with your fellow man, with your fellow human. Because first of all, like Excellency said in the previous discussion, you need to understand that you are first a citizen before religion comes in. When you were born, they didn't stamp it on your head. You grew up to meet it. You are first a citizen of the world before you become a religious person. And you must understand that whatever religion you practice, it must be to the betterness of the other person. So you need to understand that your religion is to help others become better.
Okay, interesting. So, Dr. Lemo, if we were talking about religion, and he talks about, considering other people, what are some other things that, we would see in a person and would say this person actually is standing by their faith?
His way of life. His way of life. His daily practice. That's what you see.
And what are some of those practices?
Not just like now, when people see me, they say that she's a Muslim. Not necessarily. A Christian can dress this way, but my way of life is very key. The way I relate with people is very key. My faith, just as he has said, is very key.
Bishop, let's look at these ways of life. What in particular will I do? That would be an example of like, this person is actually living to their faith.
Like when they were trying to define what religion is all about, and it's a way of life. But this life, there is where we are coming from. We come to realize that we are not apes, we are not monkeys. We didn't emanate from water or from trees or mountains. We came from somewhere, a creator. And this creator, just like any other thing created, any other thing we make here as human beings, like this microphone, like the camera we are watching, seeing right now, somebody made it, and then there was a manual on it. So this way of life does not come from us, or from whatever we see or where we are coming from, but it came from the one that created us. So that is what makes it religion, because we say we have different religions, but this time around, like Hajia just said, if you look at her, you know she's a Muslim. And when you look at me, if I knew very well, I would have worn my regalia. By mere seeing me, you don't need anybody to tell you I'm a bishop. Once you see the regalia, but that is not enough. What will make us religious people, or to make other people to identify who we are, is based on who is our prophet. Who did we take after? Whose manual are we reading? What are we supposed to do? I will never forget, somebody sent us, knowing that we are missionaries, sent us something, that looked like the changer, the record in those days, in the 60s and in the 50s. At least some of us saw some of them. It goes round, they can even use something, gramophone to turn it around. So they sent it to us, and there was no manual. And by the time we picked it, and they said we can use it in the village where there is no light. So when we took it, my husband looked at it, and looked at it, he said, do you understand what is here? We said no. We carried pin, and we punctured it. We tried to do something about it. By the time we now called the person and he told us what to do, we couldn't use it. It was destroyed. So every one of us is coming from somewhere, and since we didn't choose which religion, the reason why we do not choose our religion is because we didn't choose where we were to be born.
That's right.
So if I'm born in a Christian home and somebody is born in a Muslim home, then they are following the manual of the God or the prophet that they are following after. So there are a lot of things that are said that I cannot say because my religion may not be the same with yours. So if I say this is what is expected of me, but the truth is that when you look at most especially the two religions, the Islam and Christianity, we all have manuals. And then when we follow them, there is no how we not live in peace with one another.
All right. When we talk about true religion, for you as a Christian, what would you do? Or what would you see in someone and you say, this is a true Christian? Or we'll ask Comrade the same question when it comes to a Muslim. What would you see somebody do and you say, this person must be a true Christian?
Well, for you to even know, to see somebody and identify whether the person is a true Muslim or a true Christian, means that you are aware of what the manual states. Because if you don't know, you don't even know, you are at a standard. If you don't know, you don't even know what to look at for. So I think the starting point is what Mommy has said, which is what, you know, we're coming from somewhere. We didn't just fall from the sky. There is a standard. There is a standard, and it is carefully spelled out. So what it is, what is it? So we need to know what it is. And then for me, that being a Christian, knowing what the originator, the creator himself have said concerning us. And majorly what is he talking about? Love. Am I living a life of love? Am I love myself? For those of us that are Christian, we say that Christ is love, right? And love is Christ. So in my daily activities, we have defined religion as a way of life. In the way I live and all the things I do, is there love in it. When I speak, is there love in it. When I interact with people, is there love in it. Even when I need to correct somebody, you understand, am I correcting in love? So all those things are issues.
For me, I'll be a little bit deviating to reflect my kind of person, which is I'm a bit of dwelling more on humanity and humanity. I want to make it good here on this platform to state that faith is more of belief. That is why I keep emphasizing of religion being a way of life. We have different beliefs, traditional beliefs, the Christian belief, and the Islamic beliefs. But the point is, at what point do all these marry themselves together to strike peaceful coexistence, which is the aspect of tolerance? And if you have to define tolerance inside this topic, tolerance now becomes the capacity and the willingness. You must have the capacity and willingness to accept these beliefs of others that are not yours, the divergences in culture that are not yours, the divergences in traditions that are not yours. Accepting it does not mean you have to practice it.
That's right.
But the ability to then live with it as a way of life. When I'm dealing with you as a Christian, I know your doors are doors. I have understanding that you are a Christian. If your faith, your belief, have a standard, a manual you are following, which stipulate that you shall not do this and do that, why should I not come into your life and want to make you do what your standard say you shouldn't do? The same way with my own standard. So the ability to tolerate us, knowing these divergences, and having an intercession, a meeting point, and that meeting point is God, love. In the book of Mark, in the Bible, God said, "Hear, O ye Israel, I the Lord, thy God, is one." He never said, "I'm God of duplicity or multiplicity." He's not a God of confusion. If you go to the Quran, chapter 109, the last verse, verse 6, he said, "La kudilukum waliyadin." To you be your religion, to me be my religion. He never said, "Go and fight this for this to fight this." The same Quran is specifically talks about everything that is happening today. He said, if he had the power to make us all come in one community, who will speak one language, who practice one religion. Then he has the power. Because his own is to say, "Let it be and it is said, go fire of it." He does not need a national assembly to deliberate. He makes the pronouncement in heaven and it happens on earth. He manifests, which in evil came to manifest his word in the form of Christ. That's another miracle on his own. So if he had wanted us to speak one language, one religion, everything, but he wanted us to come, and it's against sectarianism, which unfortunately is dividing the world today. It's right in the Quran. But we have come, he wanted us to now work on our divergences, to come together. Because at every generation, from Noah to Musa, which is Moses, to David, which is Dauda, and to Isa, alayhi salam, which is Christ, peace be upon him. He brought the message, and the message is love.
Yes.
And to Muhammad, he brought the message of love. So he said in the Quran that for every generation, he brought a message through a prophet from that generation. And the message has always been love. And the unity of himself.
Okay.
You allow Ahad, allow Samad, Lam Yalid, Walam Yulad, Walam Yalid.
particular topic for today. And if you have noticed, it means that for both major religions in Nigeria, there's one thing that is normal, which is the issue of love. So we will take a short break and just think about that person that is seated next to you that is not the same belief as you are, and just love them. We'll be right back. Woddi Women Talkshow, a special edition in honor of His Excellency Senator Rochas Okorocha. And today we are looking at religious tolerance, the woman's perspective. And if you are following, we actually stopped on love, and don't stop loving yet. We still have more reasons to keep loving that person. So we'll go back to Pastor Alex Silva. We are talking about this because somehow it looks like we've missed it somewhere.
We've missed it.
What do you think is the problem?
The problem, the major problem is that, religious tolerance, me trying to impose my belief on you.
That's right.
That's wrong. Now, like he said, that you believe in something, I accept what you believe. Doesn't mean I practice it. And doesn't mean that that becomes a bone of contention between the two of us. Love must reign. And you see, we need to understand, and I'm glad this platform here. Mommy, thank you very much for this platform. And I think I'm going to have a series on this matter. Because the problem is that Nigeria is one with different religions. But the problem is that me coming to you and telling you must accept and believe and practice what I do, that's where the problem comes from. That you are worshiping something does not mean I should worship with you. If I evangelize to you and sell it to you, and you believe it and you understand it, and on your own volition, you practice, then it's up to you and God. I don't have any right to impose it on you. And that's something that the Americans do. They don't impose their beliefs on you. The funniest part is that all kinds of religions in the US, all kinds. So witchcraft, they have this openly. But nobody imposes their stuffs on you. It is of your own free will. And that is exactly how God has made us to be. And like I said, God has all it takes to command everybody to be one. He knows. And so, see, God is one, but his expression differs. The way he revealed himself to Abraham is not the same way he revealed himself to Isaac. There are same God, two different expressions. But the ability that you bring your view, I bring my view, and we come to a place of compromise. And if you are not able to agree, it doesn't mean we should fight or become enemies. Because if your religion preaches love, and I preaches love, from different aspects, I should be able to buy into your own and you buy into my own as well. But it doesn't mean I impose it on you. And so you must do this. And that is where the problem is today. Honestly, if we are able to address this matter, to say, okay, this is what you believe, this is what I believe. Okay, I understand. I agree. Do your thing, I do my thing. Praise God. And that is where we need to come to an agreement. I don't need to impose what I believe on you. You don't need to impose what you believe on me. We are serving the same God.
I don't know, I might be wrong, but we have this thing as Nigerians. When somebody says Salam Alaikum, we just assume it's a Muslim. When the person says peace be unto you, we assume it's a Christian. You know, like we just have not celebrated it. And I'm wondering why, on how we got to that place. You know, that's separate.
Part of it is ignorance. Part of it is lack of exposure. Part of it, like what I said earlier, just taking in everything that you hear, you take in, you know, I always will tell people that I have what I call spiritual sieve. It doesn't matter who you are, your position. I'm careful to take in what I hear you say, because at the end of the day, it is me. I must also add that having listened to what the few people that have spoken so far have said, it now means that if both religion, major religion in Nigeria is all about love, and of course the Bible and the Quran clearly states the importance of us respecting each other's belief or way of life or faith, it means that we have come to a point where, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or a traditionalist, we should be able to now begin to critically observe people that are talking to us, to know what is their motive, to know what is their aim. Because somebody might be a pastor or an imam or whatever, and he or she might have a different motive, and you are just very naive and think, okay, he's preaching the gospel to you, or he's preaching the Quran to you. Meanwhile, he or she has a hidden agenda. So as Nigerians and as a nation and as a people, whatever faith you believe in, I think the time for us to begin to sensitize people to know that we must be watchful and look at the step, the utterance of everyone that is talking to us, whether as an imam, whether as a pastor, or whether as a traditionalist.
And you know, you said something earlier, which you know, I just held on to it. When you said people have to, you know, study, you know, for themselves, and I think that is something that people need to do. After the spiritual leader have mentioned, we need to go back.
But then I want to also say, because when you study, some viewers are probably somewhere listening might say, what if you did not go to school? You don't have to study. I mean, you don't have to go to school to be able to study. You can always ask. What you don't, I tell people, even in my office, you testify to that. I'm not ashamed to say to the secretary, please, I don't know this. I'm not ashamed to say to the cleaner, please, how can you get this stain off? As small as that is, because I mean, you can't even know everything. So we must understand that the time for us to get it right, because I know that at the end of the day, whatever that happens in your life, like I always will say, you are a function of what is happening in your life. It's not the next person.
What you allow.
Yeah, it's what you allow.
So Bishop, we heard from the Islamic angle, the Christian angle, and the human angle. You know, you mentioned that, and I just caught that as well. And this one word, which is love, I'm going to keep talking about it. If I love you, what would I do to you? Let's get here.
If I love you, like a lot of people used to say, wise people used to say, that you can give without loving, but you can't love without you can give without loving. Because I don't need to love my children this morning, to my grandchildren, to have given them breakfast. It's a must. Whether I love them or not, I have to present breakfast to my family this morning. And we have to pay our children's school fees. We have to pay the rent. We have to do a lot of things, even without love. Sometimes uncle in the village, he needs his roof done. The father and mother need house renovated. We don't need to love them. It's their obligation, it's their right and our obligation to help them with that love. But when we love them, we are the one that will say, Daddy, what next? Darling, this is what we are about to do breakfast. What do you want this morning? It takes love. You know, you go beyond what the expectation of that person.
And your responsibility
And
for
for
that.
that person. You know that this person, oh, I love him so much that I cannot do without helping him. Or that's why you see some people who can give their whole salary. A young girl that loves a young boy who is just doing his NYC or schooling. I knew one like that sponsored. She trained the person. At the end of the day, the person came out and said, well, it's not you I want to marry. She said, no problem. I loved you. And you reciprocated by coming around me, by encouraging me, and by accepting that love. It's okay. I've never seen it. Tears came down my eyes. She was the one dressing him, bought generator for him, did a lot of things. But he ended up not marrying her, and she had no regret for that. So love, this love that we are talking about, the one that came from the Creator, the one that is in the manual, doesn't have any string attached.
Not the every love.
No.
The Bible says it's not sensual. It is not
The one that is in the
It's not the one that you use senses. Because the one you use senses is what you have just said. That a pastor, a bishop, why am I coming around you? Is it because you are Her Excellency? Why am I coming around you? Why did you call me? Why am I coming around you? Why do you like me? Is it because I'm a bishop? What do I have to offer you? But because this love is that, you know, this person, one of the last program that finished, and I'm living with that one. And I'm going to make sure all the women that come around me until Jesus comes, I'm going to let them know that you need to get a wrapper, cover somebody. And there is another kind of blessing, and that is how it should be with all the two religions that I know, is that when I'm talking, a lot of people, you know, we just finished the 40 days. Some people say, when I finish, he say yes. Did you people fasted on top? He said yes. What did she give you?
Oh yeah.
You know, after the 40 days, what did you get? I'm sure your bank account should be full. But what I'm trying to say is that if I will talk about our mommy here to my women or to anybody that knew that we were praying, because I send it to a lot of people, if you want to join us, we are burdened about this nation. You know, the kind of question, what I'm trying to say is that what I gain today is that if I would talk about this girl, I call her girl, she's Rochas' baby. If I want to talk about her is that since she came back here to Abuja, we've known since in the 90s, since she came back to Abuja and I came to see her and she brought me here, I said, by that time I was thinking, where do I get a hall to gather women? It's time to talk to women. It's time for us to pursue peace. It's time for us to come out of this bitterness and out of confusion that is affecting us not just as a nation, but even in the homes. We don't understand our husbands again. They don't understand us. Once I meet with my friend and I come back, me that left smiling with my husband, by the time I come back, I frown my face. He told me he couldn't afford this one, and I said, it's okay, God will provide. But by the time I come back from the office, the face have changed. And I'm no longer patient. Because now we don't follow the manual. The manual says, love without reservation. Love without condition. Love without condition. So I should gossip, a perfect gossip that when they say, I know one lemu in Kaduna. I said, after that, I'll find out, is it the lemu in Kaduna that I know that family? I want to know about them. You know, I don't know whether what I want to know about her, when I meet another person, what will I say about her? Let's learn to talk the positive. Love talks the positive. Not the negative. Let me say this one. One day they gave me a topic to preach, and I was going through it. And you know, when you give yourself space, and you allow God, because you are talking to God's people, God will talk to you the heartbeat of the people. And he said something, he said, tell my people to leave the negative to the individual. Some of you that were in the 90s or 80s, when they snap picture, they will give you negative. It's blunt, you cannot see anything. You know, and you keep the negative for next time, in case you want the same type of picture. Then you take it to the photographer and he develops. He said, you only give the developed one. You don't give your friend the negative. So leave the negative to the individual. And then take the developed one, share it, and leave the negative to the person. It's the person that have right to develop it when he or she wants to develop it.
Are we getting something?
Yes.
Let's start with comrade. Lack of okay, you want to say something? Yes, I go ahead.
Okay, I want to share an experience with you in my street. My neighbor here is Igbo, by the left, by the right is Igbo. And when I was in Lagos, I had an experience with my neighbor in Ikoyi during Salah, because as you said, you grew up in Jos. My parents were born in Jos, we all grew up in Jos, and we grew up with Christians, not knowing whether Christmas is for only Christians. We look forward to it. Christians, we look forward to Salah. So every Salah, I make sure I cook and give my neighbors. So I took food to this particular Christian neighbor, and they returned it and said they don't eat a sacrificial meat because it's for Salah. I said fine. So with that experience, I wasn't angry. So in Abuja here now, during Salah, I decided just to buy some things and share, because I'm used to sharing. So my neighbor, the one on the left, now said, Haja, what of meat, what of rice? I said, if I give you, will you eat? He said, I will eat. And you know, since then, and even my opposite neighbor too, she's from Delta State. Every Salah, she will say, Haja, I trust you, give me food. That's what we are talking about.
Yes.
We have to start from our homes, from our streets. Show love. If you are used to giving love to people, anywhere you go to, you will continue. And another thing, she said, try and give wrapper. What I decide to do, and I do on a daily basis, is I have a car at home, but I don't, most time I take boats, because I want to empower them as well. So if they charge me 1,000, 900, I give 1,000 and say keep it. So I make sure that every day I touch somebody. So we should try and do that every day. Touch someone, 50 naira can go along with someone. Then you give them 50 naira and so excuse me, it's very important that we do that.
And you know what you said, I saw the cameraman clapping, and it means that you've done something right. We're looking at, when you were mentioning that particular, I'll call it a challenge of somebody, returning that, and I'm just wondering, comrade, where we don't have religious tolerance, what are we losing? Are we losing anything?
If, first of all, the causes of intolerance, why we cannot tolerate ourselves in the Nigeria peculiar states right now. One, political interference in religion.
Yes.
Number two, economic disparity among the different class of human existence. In the north, in the south. In the north, we have what is called, in sociology, we call it, there's a class boundary that it's just two, either you are rich or you are poor. Yeah. And that class boundary is being fought now, because there's no middle class. The children of the poor are now forcing themselves through crimes to bridge that middle gap. Because the world cannot wait for Nigeria to evolve in civilization. So you cannot run, you creep, but there must be emotion. So the children of the poor, they are now taking to crime to be able to afford everything that's coming with civilization right now. They are taking to crime because there's a gap. They can't afford the economic class, they are down. In the south, funny enough, my brother here and I, we are from the same place. We are from Benin. Yeah, ironically, it's a pastor and still here as a Muslim and humanist according to you. All right, in our side, we have a sense of middle class. It may not be based on materiality, but based on education. There is this zeal for every woman or every family to want to send their child to school. Because they believe that as they grow up, they will be able to bridge that economic gap. You understand?
Yes.
So the kind of crime that, if you notice that with civilization also, and with this economic gap, the kind of crime that is peculiar in the South now, will become crime that are related with somehow education and technology, Yahoo Yahoo. Or Yahoo Plus. Yes, let's be frank. So the basic thing, the major causes of intolerance in this whole system, politics, economic gap, and sectarianism. Unfortunately, sorry, I have to be hard on ourselves. We have to be hard on ourselves. Sectarianism is really dwelling in Islam. Unfortunately, and ironically, is in the Quran, God never liked sectarianism. God is one, does not mean sex. I'm Izala, I'm Asaruddin, I am the other one, the other one they called, the one they just arrested, or that is still in the Shine and what have you. These are all different religious sects, and this set, they don't drive the scripture. What they drive is doctrine, and doctrine is more of man. And because of God knows the crisis that doctrine will cause in Islam, He separate the Quran from the Hadith. The Quran was a direct, from chapter 1 to the last chapter, was a direct pronouncement and revelation from Almighty God. Nothing that was man, that is man, that is in Quran. But every pronouncement of Prophet Muhammad was separated in Hadith. Because Prophet Muhammad, as a human being, was not perfect. So Mr. I've said something, and tomorrow you're not saying, I'm doing it because of Prophet. You are killing somebody because of Prophet. Not because of what the Quran says, but because Prophet Muhammad is of three. Mohammedanism, Prophet Muhammad as a leader. That's Mohammedanism. Prophet Muhammad as a prophet of Islam, spiritually. And Prophet Muhammad as a family man. When you are driving Mohammedanism, when Muhammad was becoming a leader to his people of Arab, we're having Arabian wars here and there, and you are now putting that in your head. You are now driving Boko Haram in the northeast. Jihad simply means uphold your faith.
That's it. Yeah.
Which Meshach and Abednego and the other one, there were three. Shadrach and Abednego. They upheld their faith. They epitomized jihad. In the lake of fire, they said, I will never renounce my God.
I'll catch you right there. So we're discussing today on Woddi Women Talkshow, and it is in honor of His Excellency Senator Rochas, Okorocha, and we are looking at one of the things that are so dear to his heart, religious tolerance. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Right back, and thank you so much for still being with us on the Woddi Women Talkshow, the special edition in honor of His Excellency Senator Rochas Okorocha on his 59th birthday. We say happy birthday, sir. And we are looking at religious tolerance. We stopped somewhere, and we'd like to hear from our audience. If we have anybody that has anything to say about religious tolerance, we'll take 3 hands. 3 hands. We have 1, 2 more. Okay, so we'll go with the 1 hand quickly. So if you, okay, we have 2 hands. Awesome. So we will start with you, and you introduce yourself and tell us if it's a question or contribution. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I greet you all in the house.
Thank you very much.
My name is Brigadier General Florence Giannis. My own is a contribution. I want to really commend organizers for choosing these very interesting topics. I want to just contribute on the religious aspect. I'm not an imam or a pastor, but I want to, that is where I am interested, or what's my interest to contribute. I often say that sometimes when we are discussing issues to do with religion, Christian and Muslim, I won't talk of traditional religion because in most cases the one that are really affecting us today is the two religions, Christianity and Islam. And sometimes when we get to talk about it, we just sort of scratch it on the surface and leaving out some of the things that are really bringing the problems to us. And sometimes we are not honest enough to really talk about some of the things that are really affecting us in these two religions that is bringing problems. And whether it is deliberate that we avoid to talk about that, or by maybe just not intentional, that those things are avoided. I listen to talk shows quite a lot. That is why I'm saying that sometimes, whether it's deliberate or not deliberate, that we avoid them. You see, when we talk of respect of one another's religion, if I respect your religion, okay, and if I love you, I will not use my religious stand to call you names that will hurt you. Are you getting it? I will not call you names that from my religious stand to hurt you. And if peradventure, maybe by mistake or whatever, I call you such a name, and you show me that you don't like it, I should apologize. And I will cease henceforth to call you such names. And I will go further to indicate my own religious peers or followers that, look, I called this person with this name based on my religious stand, and the person felt offended. Please, we should not call this person or these people this name again.
All right, I think we'll cut it there.
Yeah,
so that
but let me just hit it on the point.
Right.
Please, without any due apology or something. If I called, for example, I know that maybe the other religion too does the same. I will just say it blanketly. If I call you, if I'm a Muslim, and I see a Christian, and I call a Christian Army, and the Christian feels offended, I'm supposed to apologize and cease to use that word so that we can peacefully coexist. But if I don't apologize and cease to call that name, it means that other Christian Muslims too will feel comfortable to call a Christian or a non-Christian Army.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. I'm sure that from there our panelists will be able to pick it up so that we will, watch that. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name's Berendu Chimejifuna. I'm retired Premier of Police. My own area is contribution. So I've listened to the narration and the illustrations. And we are meant to understand that at the panel, we have some clear views within the panel. And we should understand also that the law governing us in this country has ab initio taken care of the religious group. That's why we say Nigeria is a secular state where you have the freedom to practice any religion or faith. They don't discriminate. Now, with all our discussions, the law also allowed the criminal law to exist in the south and the penal code to exist in the north, including the Sharia law. If all these things have been put in place, then where has the problem started? Is it from the politicians or from the clergies? Because today, a lot of problems are speeches made while on the altar or while doing political activities. So we should look inward and make sure that still the clergies and the politicians do a lot of work to make sure that the people are not taken for granted into bringing out these misgivings to the state.
Thank you very much. And I don't know if he has prompted, from his comment, prompted to what we can do to be able to fix the situation we have, Bishop.
Like if we had listened to what the barrister said, there are a lot of things that are into it, and our mommy mentioned it too. When I come out, I'm a bishop. When I'm empowered, let me use that word, by a politician or by a set, I thought they would ask another question for me to round up. I would have said something about this set. You are of this set, you are of this set. So we talk according to where we are coming from. So today you will agree with me that politicians are the real factor. Even though we are, I was talking with somebody, the person said, Chikan Anapchime, that is a fulfillment of prophecy. We are in the end time. So we all, the two religions, believe in the devil, who was thrown from heaven, who misbehaved, and he came down according to the Christian Bible. And when he came down, the aim is to get all of us to disobey God and make sure we end up with him in hellfire. So the devil is there, who has taken over the politicians and the businessmen, who are selfish. So they want to make it by all means. So the politician can empower a clergy. It does not matter from which area. If they are empowered, you will just know by the way they talk. It's not that, let me encourage my sister here. It's not that we don't know what is going on. Everybody knows what is going on, but we are not even sure. By the time you come up and then you are just talking anyhow, they will say you are inciting trouble.
That's right.
If you just come out and you say, why are they calling us? They call some people Anna, they will call a woman Anya, or one thing or the other. You can't just come out on the pulpit and start talking about it. Or somebody will just go and start a leader and start talking. The way this person will take it and the way the other, it will be another trouble. Okay. So since we are of peace, and it is peace that our brother who is celebrating today, our daddy Rochas, Okorocha, we are talking peace. Things that we can do that will bring peace. So the truth is that there are some factors that are steering up that makes a clergy not to talk straight, not to use the real Quran or the real Bible to preach. Okay. They will now go and bring something else and then steer up the congregation, and by the time they go, sometimes in the 60s and 90s, you didn't know who was a Christian, who was a Muslim. But today it's not like that.
I'm going to cut you there. It looks like sadly we don't have much time, but then we'll make time. We'll make time. Hajia, what can we do to have peaceful coexistence between religions in this country?
I feel we should empower people. What do I mean by empowerment? Enlightenment. Enlightenment, and in a very subtle words. Like what I do in most of the groups that I belong, when I see anybody posting anything that is saying maybe Muslims are killing Christians are killing Muslims, I ask, what is the importance of sending this to this people.
Well,
Do you understand? Because the truth is you are just trying to cause problems.
More trouble.
You understand? My father is a practicing Muslim. His elder sister, the same mother, the same father, a practicing Christian that lived in the missionary with her husband. And her children, most of them are Christians. Only one is a Muslim. So, how do we do it? So, because I'm coming from that background, I understand and I try. So, that's what we should do. What she said when they say Avna, we correct. Don't use that word. It's too harsh. And we can do it individually, but in a very subtle voice.
Okay.
Not harsh one. The person say, you say, why would you call me Avnia or Avni? And then fight starts.
Pastor Alex, your final words.
What I'm going to say is that, you see, the basis of this whole thing is love. In your correction, do it in love. In your persisting with others, do it with love. Whatever that you are doing, do it in love. You see, the moment love is there, and it's not a love that is agendalistic. Straight, I love you because God is love, and God is living through me. There are some things that I couldn't do before, but as I grew in the faith and I walk with God, I understand that, listen, if God is love, God knows these people. If He knows them, why can't you tolerate them?
And He doesn't need us to do
It does.
it.
Oh yeah. So please, so love is still the watchword.
Yeah, I'll be, with permission from my Excellency, I'll be, because there's a correlation between the first program and this, peace and religious tolerance, you know. And if I have to, let me round all up in one explanation that if we have to drive peace and religious tolerance, then whether we like it or not, no society will live in injustice and expect peace. The officer, IG, sorry, you made reference to the existing laws that are imbibed in Nigerian Constitution.
Can you do that in a few seconds?
Yeah, these laws, we need implementations of the laws to entrench justice. Without justice, you cannot have peace. A lot of crises have happened in Jos. There have been different reports. The people that headed those committees that wrote those reports are even dead. People like late Solomon La, they headed some committees. But till tomorrow, no report has been implemented. People that have been alleged to be sponsoring Boko Haram has been caught for how many months now? And like yesterday, we are still channeling our good governance advocacy on the Minister of Justice. They need to speed up the justice and let us expose these people and let us deal with them. When you entrench in the book of Amos, in the Bible, Amos talks of true religion and social justice. If we must drive true religion to entrench law, then we must drive social justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And to round up this edition of the program, we'll go to the executive producer for your final words.
Well, a lot have been said, but I just want to say and say it again that, like what my sister talked about, making some statements and all that. Like I said before, the time has come when we don't keep quiet when we see something going wrong. We keep quiet either because of the person and his position. We keep quiet because we don't want to be seen to be supporting the other person. At the end of the day, we all are suffering it. For example, you are in the mosque, you are in the church, and somebody, because of the privileged position that he or she has by being in the pulpit to talk to the congregation, he's saying something that that will put us apart as a people, and we keep quiet. What stops us from after the service or whatever, you go to the person and say, this thing you are doing is not right. And that's why I said before, you say idealistic, or what did you say? That person must have an agenda. So we must know that God cannot come down from heaven to do this for us. We talk about America, we talk about whatever, trying to interfere. What can they help? We have to help ourselves.
Yes.
And in helping ourselves, we must know that we don't have a choice. It's not negotiable. We need to do the needful. If you see something that is not right, please, like all of us have agreed in this panel, in love, say it. in love, let them know that we have people that are looking up to us, that will ask us questions. And the time to take care of what we need to take care of is now, so that we can have that peaceful coexistence that we are looking for. Thank you very much.
True religion is all about love, and that is what we're preaching today on the Woddi Women Talkshow. And so we come your way again next time with another edition of the program on the birthday of His Excellency, Senator Rochas Okorocha. We say happy birthday. My name is Delma Bobin. See you next time.